Hello and welcome to the Rock Your Voice podcast. Vocal coaching tips that will transform your voice, interviews that will inspire, industry guidance, and so much more. Without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode. We're talking about mastering your bridges, understanding transitions, essentially eliminating that break. Everyone hates it. Unless you really love yodeling, it can be really beneficial. Or if you're Leanne Rimes singing Blue, that's really, really useful there. No, there are some times when it's a really, really beneficial, really cool technique to really dig into. But so many people are like, how do I get rid of my break? I want to go up into singing higher notes without flipping into a falsetto tone or sounding like I have two separate sort of ranges. Today, we're going to look at a bunch of different exercises that's going to really help you learn to not erase it, but really understand where your transitions come in and then be able to manipulate it. So you can either support it with a slightly different change in tone so that you can transition without it sounding like you're going like, like there's not all that weird movement. It doesn't sound like you're yodeling. We're going to get it really smooth so you can move through really, really gently. So what we're going to do, I'm going to warm things up first. I want to go with lip rolls, and we're going to be fairly repetitive with the patterns that we're using here so that you can find a bit of a benchmark and we're not thinking too much about following intricate scales. I want you to just let your voice really relax, and these first few exercises, don't be afraid to really embrace that flip and get to know exactly whereabouts on your range it comes in. Don't resist it. I want you to let the movement happen. So let's start here for the higher voices. The lower voices, you can jump in there. So what we're going to do is a lip roll. We're going to go with Don't push or reach to the top, let things flip. Pay attention to if you can feel any resonance or buzzing, if you can feel a sort of shift in the placement of the notes. This is what's the most important part here, is feeling where the note or the frequency of the sound is resonating in your instrument. That way, you're going to be able to control it and manipulate it a lot more. So for the higher female voices, if you're doing that in a nice relaxed way, you'll feel a lot of movement. And that is the key to really getting your instrument working with you and balancing those muscles out. So we're going to do a few more higher ones. For the lower voices, that's going to be coming through your bridge here right now. Females, we're kind of slap bang in the middle, so keep going. And go with it when those cutouts happen. We're not going to force anything, but if things are cutting out a bit like that, that's where you can really start to feel where your air pressure is going to really help you at the top. It's all about balancing the airflow. It's very similar to clutch control in a standard vehicle. Too much, you're going to splat out or whatever you would call it. You're going to, I've forgotten the word. Stall out. Is that what you do in a standard car? You stall when you don't do the clutch control properly. So yeah, too much gas and not proper clutch control, you're going to stall, and not enough, you're going to stall also. So it's very much the same with your voice. So balancing the air pressure. And again, right now we're looking at movement and flexibility. We are not working on eliminating bridge. I want you to feel where it comes in. You could sort of make a note what note it is that it comes in. For a lot of female voices, it's around the sort of G sharp, B area. Some voices it's a little bit lower for the female voices. For males, it's kind of around the B, C, middle C area. So gents, you might be feeling as we're coming down here that you're locking into a head voice and it's not coming back down again very gently. You might be kind of feeling very heady tone, and that can happen when we've gone up and we want to come back down, but those muscles up top are saying no, I thought we were being engaged now. So it can be hard to transition back to a sort of chest tone when you're coming down having visited that higher area of your range. It's just the muscles need to learn to let go and trust what you're trying to do. And that's where your brain comes in. Because if your brain is overthinking, the muscles are going to start interacting and taking you in all the wrong directions. So again, that's why we're doing this really gently. I want you to feel the movement, feel the shifts in placement as we change the frequency of the note, i.e. going higher and lower, because the frequency is going to vibrate in a different part of your body depending whether we're singing high or low, hence chest or head. We'll do a couple more for the low voices. Last one here. Now, if you have a singing straw, I want you to go back, follow that entire pattern, and just be humming through your singing straw. Well, not humming, but blowing through your singing straw. So let's pick a note that's nice and comfortable. So we'll go. And don't pop into each note. We're going to really slide, really gradually. Actually, don't go back if you've got a singing straw. We're going to do this. And if you don't have a singing straw, you're going to do a V or an SEZ kind of zzz. The V is going to give you a little more resistance. So I go, if you want to work it a little harder. But ideally, if you do have a set of singing straws, go grab your straw. And then we can try. We're going to go slow because you're going to use a lot of air. And I want you to really feel the movement even more here. I can already feel a little more resistance at the top of this one. So just be kind to yourself, let things move. Now let's slow down even more so you can really reach into that top one. Come back down. Stay patient. I'm I'm doing these really slowly, really intentionally. I want you to really move through your range with your instrument. Just really feel everything that's going on. So like you understand, you know where things sit with your voice, depending what note you're hitting. Because there's so many variables further down the road. Once we map out exactly where all the notes sit, then we start throwing vowels at them, stylistic approaches, rock, pop, country, opera, whatever. And there's just so many different variables that come on top after we've just established where each note sits. So take your time to really learn, okay, what does my range feel like as I move through it, using my instrument in a really relaxed way. And that's how you can start to manipulate things to smooth stuff out. Because if you know where things want to go in a relaxed way, you can support it. And it's not going to surprise you. A break or a crack isn't going to jump out. If you're aware, okay, around that G sharp, I'm going to probably have a little bit of a break or a little bit of a wibble. So you know, okay, coming up to this note, I'm going to need to balance my air pressure, or I'm going to need to switch to a bit more of a nasal tone, or I'm going to need to manipulate things a certain way to get the result that I'm looking for. Whereas so many of us just sort of fumble blindly and we're never sure when these pops or cracks are going to just jump out at us. So that's where this is really important, for you to understand exactly how your instrument works and when those pops and cracks are more likely to show up. Okay, so now let's do a hum to an R. We'll start, okay, so down here for the low voices and here for the higher voices. And again, I want you to really slide. This one I love because you will really feel what your instrument's wanting to do, and I want you to embrace that. Do not resist it. Okay, so really gently, we're going to go ma. So down there for the lower voices, and then we're going to move up. Ma. Ma. Don't think stylistic. Ma. I want you to think placement and flexibility. Try and very much anchor at the bottom in your chest. See, there's lots of movement there for me. You get thicker if you heard the break there. Again, don't resist it. We're not doing. We're not pushing. I want you to be super relaxed. So ladies or higher voices, you're going to be clearing. Gents and lower voices, you're going to be starting to dig in to that bridge area. We'll do a few more because the lower voices will just be experiencing this, so I want lots of flexibility. Keep going if you can. One more. You should have felt some movement going up. If you didn't move and you didn't allow for flexibility, you probably couldn't go quite so high, or you probably felt quite a bit of tension as you were going up. So the key is to back off the pressure, allow flexibility, allow movement. Again, we're not looking at performance, we're looking at practice, and we're looking at flexibility, not stylistic like a belt or anything. Okay, so now let's look at an NG shape, and we're going to go let's go from here. We'll go so like saying the word sing, and you're going to imagine a bit of airflow through your nose. So you're not We don't want any reefing on your throat, any pulling, pressure, tension, any of that. You shouldn't be feeling anything happening in your throat right now. Little bit of a buzz as things are sort of working down there, but no pressure, no pinching, no tension, no pulling, nothing. It should be very relaxed down there. So again, with the NG, little bit of air coming through your nose if you can, and just a sticker opportunity there. Really let it move. Almost exaggerated. Keep going. The lower voices are going to start to experience this bridge area here too. So go with it. Our next exercise, we're going to start the smoothing process. Now that we know what our instrument naturally wants to do. Just do one more. All right. So now let's look at smoothing it. So we're going to, we'll do exactly the same thing, but we're going to try and eliminate that break. And we're going to slide up from the bottom. We're going to go, and I want you to place the sound right in the roof of your mouth, kind of behind your front teeth. I want you to imagine that's where the sound is coming from. It's not coming from your throat. We want it to be really lifted, roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. So again, lower voices can start the octave low. Feel quite a change. Think linear, like it's going from your chest and away from you and then back. So you're releasing it forward, you're not reaching up. We'll do two more. Okay, so it's a light sound right there. We're not pulling our chest up for a massive strong belt, but we're training our voice to safely move up there without going, let's give you an example. We're not going super soft. Or let me give you a lower example. We're going. There's more of a connected sound. So again, instead of we've got the top note is in the same place. It's just our approach towards it. We're not pulling more from our throat. We're just supporting it a little bit more air, a little bit more pressure, and just thinking about that roof of your mouth, just behind your front teeth, behind your nose, as opposed to an open, airy sound that has a bit less control. Okay, so we're using a little bit of compression here also. There's another episode all about compression, and that's going to really help you connect to your sound. So here, let's go with a really round classical B that's going to really lend itself to flipping. And then we're going to change it to a very nasal, thin B sound. So let's start here again. Lower voices down here, higher voices here. We go B, 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 B. B, 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 B. B, 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 B. B, 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 B. And I'm not changing the position of the note. I'm just slightly altering my tone, adding a bit of compression so that it doesn't go super classical and round. You might feel that B, 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 B sounds a bit more like it's coming from towards the back of the mouth, almost a bit more of an open throat. So kick it a little bit forward from B, 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 B. Again, this isn't performance. We're not working stylistically necessarily. We're just getting your voice used to moving without breaking and being able to control and manipulate when those transitions happen and how you want them to happen, because you don't want to eradicate it and erase it, because there's some really great opportunities to use it. Some really stunning voices that really engage their break and make things sound really cool. It's really great for adding emotion too. But if you're into like kind of the classic rock thing, or you really want to dig into those high notes and just like you can really dig in with these exercises, but you will just tweak the tone. So I would recommend actually, so what you can do is you can work on these, and then there's also a classic rock vocal workout on the podcast that digs into the sort of like the wow, like all of those kind of sounds that will help you with sort of the Axl Rosy kind of classic rock kind of sound, a bit of Dio and all of that. So that's there too. So I would start with these. I've just in recording this realized that I should probably do a part 2 for this. So I'm going to leave you with this part 1 to explore all of these exercises. The key is relaxing, getting movement, and then starting to kind of strengthen and connect. Not adding power and volume when I say strengthen, but getting your muscles used to not flipping, because they don't need to. If you can hit that note with a kind of hooty classical sound, sort of doing that switching all the way through the if you can go to that note, you can go to it with a more connected tone. It's when we start to grip and we that's when we come into trouble, as opposed to or as opposed to it's all about balancing your air, making sure you're not getting too breathy, and manipulating the tone, being ready for the transitions, and being prepared to support where your voice wants to go in a healthy way. Email me, emma@rocketvocalstudios.com, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to learn more. There's my dog Harrison saying hi in the background. And I hope this helps you start to explore your bridge or your break and start to manipulate and control some nice, smooth transitions. And I will create a second part for you very, very soon. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I truly appreciate you spreading the word about the podcast. You can email me if you have any questions about any of the topics on the podcast. It's emma@rocketvocalstudios.com. That's ROCKIT vocalstudios.com. And you can follow me on social media too @Rocket Vocal Studios. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back with much more for you very, very soon.